That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey?
Austria.
Austria? Well then, good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Brisbane. Well, actually, it's Australian for Minotaur, mate. And you may be wondering if it's as good as Minnow and worth bringing to your port. I will answer those questions and more, but first, what is this thing? It's an interesting take from down under on the legendary tier light Brit cruiser Minotaur. It actually has high explosive shells. No smoke, radar, sonar, and it still gets those amazing British heels. Other than that, it does have a beefed up torpedo armament, 20 in total. Yeah, that's a lot. They have an extended 13.5 kilometer range, and you can single fire them just like Minotaur. Now, I definitely think there are good and bad parts of this ship that you should hear before you decide to purchase her. Although the amount of ice crowns and goodies you get from the campaign are probably worth the admiralty backing for 10 bucks, still, there's some big downsides to this ship. The first of which I would say the commander choices are not great. We have Harry Farngome, who has a base trait that is mostly useless, although does buff the reload a bit. And then you have the universal guy, Leonard Murray. Does that take me back? Remember back when you had to play your ships with the universal commander when you first started playing and you didn't have designated commanders? Well, here we go again. On that note, I would probably go with old Harry F. I think he's the better choice. The smoke bonus of his base trait is useless, but other than that, he's probably the better commander, and at least he has some DPM perks. The smoke bonus, it doesn't matter. He does buff the reload a little bit, but mostly you're going to want those DPM perks, because Brisbane is a Minotaur, but the reload is a lot slower than Minnow. 5 seconds instead of 3.2 seconds. That's a huge difference. That brings the DPM of this thing down to really Des Moines levels, except you're not throwing 203mm shells downrange. These are tiny 152mm HE shells. They only pin 25mm of armor. You're going to be shattering all day. So you really need to rely a lot on the fire chance, and Igniter with old Harry here is going to help you with that, bringing your puny HE shell fire chance up to 14%. Now, you might say, that's the same as Colbert and that ship is a flamethrower. Okay, good point. Except Colbert has 16 guns and a 3.2 second reload because Wargaming buffed that ship's reload to make it even faster. Genius. Now, I'm definitely not saying Brisbane is incapable of putting up good damage numbers, but I really think you're going to have to use Brisbane, her guns in combination with the torpedoes to have good results, because if you rely on the guns alone, like you would in Minotaur or Colbert, it's just not really that, not that great. So with Farncombe, I used Mameli and I used McCallum, one to boost the damage output because the ship honestly kind of needs it, and the other one to make the concealment a little bit better, because you're going to be relying on concealment quite a bit to stay alive in this ship, and I died a lot, let me tell you. You basically have no armor, like the Minotaur, and no smoke screens. It's a ship that's really going to rely on your teammates, and I'm going to let that sink in for a few seconds. Because your teammates are legendary tier players, arguably the worst players in the game. A good portion of them just simply are clueless. The carry potential of Brisbane, I feel like it's kind of mediocre just because of how squishy this thing is. If you're playing it in a div, you know, you have someone spotting for you, someone tanking for you, you're going to have a lot more fun, I would say that. Now the second big drawback, again like Colbert, except it's worse because, you know, Colbert has insane HE DPM with the fast fire rate and all of those guns, but you don't have access to equilibrium of power, which of course would increase your shell penetration. Brisbane on PC does have access to IMHE, and that allows your shells to break through more armor and deal damage without just harmlessly shattering. We don't have that option here, and it's a big setback to this ship in my opinion. Again, on PC, I'm going to bring this up a couple times, Brisbane on PC, you know, it's better. It's better than it is here, and even on PC it's considered pretty mediocre, so you might see where I'm going with this. Now, let's talk about some of the good stuff. This is a really good utility cruiser. It can do a lot of things. If there are no DDs and no CDs, you just might be the stealthiest ship on your flank, so you can do spotting for your team. You can hunt destroyers really, really well. You have a great 4.9 kilometer sonar and radar. I'm a little disappointed here too, but we'll get to the radar in a second. You can farm damage and hold back a flank with these dangerous torpedoes that enemies are going to have to push into. 20 of them, that is a lot. The survivability, it's garbage. It's a Minotaur. You're wrapped in 16 millimeters of armor. But the good thing is you have those amazing British heals that are going to bring back over 17,000 health apiece. Pretty awesome, and with fully packed, you can be sporting 3 of them. The AA is awesome. It's essentially the same as Minotaur, and if an enemy CV focuses you, they're going to lose a lot of planes. This is a really big plus for your teammates. Although, at Legendary tier, out of 15 games I played in this ship yesterday, I only had 1 CV match, and it was one of those terrible 3v3 matches on a normal-sized map. A giant waste of time. But I will say this, the enemy CV did not have a fun time and lost 28 planes. Brisbane is an AA monster. The torpedoes, they're really going to be a big part of your ability to deal damage on this ship. They're even more dangerous than the Minnow. You have 10 on each side, 20 total. That's 4 more than Minotaur. And you can use your awesome stealth to flip around and flood an area with 20 torpedoes and then slink away into the night. They also move faster in the water than Minnow torpedoes, making them a little harder to dodge. Enemies that are not paying attention or don't know what they're pushing into can definitely get caught off guard and sunk. And that leads right into the concealment. It's 12.7 kilometers stock, and that is amazing, you know, and I would praise that so much, except Minnow's is 12.1 kilometers, and yeah, it's just better. It's still good. With the concealment module and Makawa, in all of these games we were cruising around with 10.3 kilometers of concealment. That's pretty darn good. It almost gave us the coveted stealth radar, since our radar reaches 10 kilometers and lasts 22 seconds. Once again, the PC version of the ship is a lot better. Brisbane on PC gets a 12 kilometer radar, and, well, it still lasts 22 seconds, but Minotaur in our game, 9.9 kilometers, so a 1/10 of a kilometer less, but it lasts twice as long. So once again, Minotaur is better than Brisbane. All of this taken into account, I think this ship is decent to mediocre. Minotaur, in my eyes, is plain and simply better. Better concealment, better radar, faster reload, and a better DPM ability. I know the prospect of HE is exciting, but really it's only better than Minotaur in situations where enemies are bow tanking. Minnow's DPM is far better, with almost a 2-second faster reload, and the short-fused Brit AP is murderous to any ship. I would take it over these 152mm HE shells, personally. The 14% fire chance, it's okay. I'm not going to say Brisbane is bad. It has its moments, especially if you have a good supportive team, a battleship that knows where to position, a DD that knows how to spot for you, but those games and those teammates are few and far between in Legendary tier. I would say save yourself the frustration and go ahead and bring division mates, and yeah, you can keep your blood pressure down a little bit and your gray hairs from starting to form. I would rather play Minotaur. Again, another reason why the commanders seem a lot better over there. You have Azerlane Belfast, Bruce Fraser, commanders that are just better suited for that sort of playstyle. Also, after a couple weeks of playing Zhao, there's no comparison. Zhao is way better in almost every area. It has long-range torpedoes as well, better armor, and it is the best HE spamming cruiser at the tier now, in my opinion, with the 203s that pin more, amazing fire chance, stupid fast shell velocity, where Brisbane has very slow 762 meters per second shell velocity, and Zhao has amazing accuracy. There's no comparison. If this were a premium ship for sale in the store, a standalone one, I would say skip it, but it is a campaign ship, so the $9.99 is probably worth all the goodies that go along with it. And that is my 2 cents. I am, of course, curious what you guys think of her, so let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Like, sub. This is Derka signing off. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.